Howdy, y'all. Last weekend, I finally got to have a grand tournament. Whew, felt good to go back into the game, get some dice rolling on the table. I think that was my first tournament since January 2020, so I was ready. We were playing down in Houston at the Harambe Heroes GT. I'll try to link to the Harambe Heroes podcast below. They had a great rundown of all the lists that were going to be showing up for the tournament, and they're a pretty fun channel to watch. So I'll include their link below. You can go check out a whole bunch of lists if you want to see the list reviews. But looking at our mission pack, we had kind of your standard stuff. We weren't going to be using any terrain rules or anything like that, but we were going to be playing in the realms. And so we did have some realms to sort out. Our game types are places of arcane power for game one in the realm of Hish. A lot of these realms, since we weren't using the realm effects, we didn't really play with them too much. I think over the entire course of the tournament, I think I used one spell from one of the realms, the Fireball for Akshi, which was game three, and Gur, I used the command trait for a monster to fight at full bracket. So not too much of an impact. Game two, we had Better Part of Valor. Game three, Scorched Earth. Game four, Focal Points. Game five, Blade's Edge. We had a pretty good variety of games, a lot of different game types that would require different things to score. So we had one that would require Battle Line, one that would require heroes, one that gave you bonuses for monsters, one where you're going to be deleting objectives. So it was a pretty wide range of game types, and we didn't know what it was before our list submission. So I I was debating whether to bring Fangs of Sotek or not, but I decided I just wanted to bring a fun list for the first tournament back. And if you remember the video a little while ago, I was asking for suggestions on what list to bring, and I did decide on the Stegageddon. I went with the first list in that video, which was just as many Stegaddons as I could put into the list as possible. My leader is Slon, and we're taking him as my general so I can get the command trait Arcane Might. And the reason I'm doing that is so that I can get a reroll to the cast, and that works for cast, unbind, or dispel in each hero phase. And so in some practice games, I realized that Slon, being able to reroll a cast, being able to reroll an unbind or dispel was very, very useful. If I didn't get off my burning head, I would reroll it. If I didn't get off the board-wide comment, or I needed a higher result for that board-wide comment, the Celestial Deliverance, then I would reroll that. I took the spell Stellar Tempest, and this helped me clear out some hordes. So if you're going up against a horde army, this is a 24-inch spell that will you roll a dice for every model on that unit, and on a 5-up it does mortal. Very good against hordes. I really only played one army that this was useful against in this tournament, but it's still kind of my default spell to go to. I'll just switch it over to something else if I need to in turn one. I brought an Engine of the Gods as my first Stegaddon, so I can get some summons or some heals from the combo of the Engine of the Gods and the Slon. They're going to be kind of sticking together throughout most of the tournament. I took a Stegaddon with Skink Chief with the artifact Fusel of Conflagration. That gives me some mortals on a shooting attack. And the weapon Skystreak Bow, of course. And the Stegaddon with Skink Chief as the second one with a Skystreak Bow. We have 4 heroes in this list, 3 of which are pretty beefy. That's not a bad lineup of heroes, especially when I'm looking at that first game type where you have to have a hero within 3 inches of the objective to score it. So maybe if I can get a favorable matchup, I can do well in that game. Battle line, of course, we're going with 3 Stegaddons, all with Skystreak Bows. A Bastiladon is my behemoth with the Solar Engine, and a Bound Burning Head coming in at exactly 2,000 points and 79 wounds. So my strategy on this list for most of the weekend is I'm going to probably sit back turn 1, maybe turn 2, and just shoot as much as I can with these Skystreak Bows. They're doing 3 damage each. The damage is so unpredictable. You can't really count on that first turn just blowing everything out the board. and that's probably a good thing. But I want a couple turns of shooting, and then I'm going to charge forward, clear off what else is left, and try to grab objectives at that point. I'm 8 drops, and so I did have to go first every game in this tournament, and so I was prepared to line up at the back of the board. These Stegageddons have a 32-inch range, so if I line up at the back of the board, I can hit most things turn 1 while still staying out of range of their counter charge in their turn. So that was the plan. Let's see how well it worked. So game 1 is Places of Arcane Power, and we've got this kind of unique deployment here in these corners where we're looking to score these 3 objectives, and you have to use a hero to score these objectives. You have to be within 3 inches. So I've played this game type quite a bit, and I actually like this for my list. A lot of times what I try to do is I try to focus a couple of heroes here in the middle, go towards that one, and then swing something over here that maybe they don't want to deal with, or they'll have to put pressure on late game as they're focusing on this middle objective. I rarely try to go for all 3, especially because you can't really get to this bottom objective in turn 1. At least the Stegageddons can't. But I can, with the run, get to this one within 3 inches of that top one. So I like this game type. It all depends on my opponent, though. I got paired up against Zachary Kennedy, who is a very good player. I've played him a couple times in grand tournaments and never beat him yet. He brought to this tournament, KO. So this is going to be an interesting matchup. KO versus Stegageddon. He doesn't have really good leaders here, especially for this game type, because you need heroes to score these objectives. And he's got 3 pretty fragile heroes, but they're going to be in boats. They're going to be all over the board. They're going to be out of range turn 1, and so they're going to be hard to hit. When they're in those boats, he can get them down to -2 to hit, and he's re-rolling some saves on these guys using the Aether Quartz or something. And so these guys are actually pretty hard to kill, but they can't score until they hop out of the boat. So maybe I have a chance to jump ahead early in the game on points, keep that lead, and win the game. So going through his list, and to be honest, I don't know what a lot of this stuff does. I haven't played KO all that often, and so you may have better knowledge of KO than I do. But he's got an Aether Chemist, or 2 Aether Chemists. They both have artifacts, and an Aether Navigator who also has an artifact. One of those artifacts is the spell in the bottle, and he's taking, of course, the Skaven Lightning Vortex. So we'll see that pop up here in a few minutes. He has 3 artifacts because he did bring 2 battalions in this, and so he was very low drops and did the standard KO deploy in the corner of the board. He's got a couple of Arcanaut Company battle line, 2 Arcanaut frigates. He's got a unit of Endrin riggers, a gun hauler, and an ironclad. So he's got quite a few boats there, and he's got the battalions Iron Sky Command, Iron Sky Attack Squadron, and there's the Warp Lightning Vortex he's got. So he is going to outdrop me. He's 109 wounds, 1990 points, so he got a triumph. And here's kind of our deployment. You can see I've spread out my Stegageddons kind of as much as I can. I don't know if he's going to want to take turn 1 or give it to me, but I'm making it to where he has no room back here to drop, and not a real good option to drop here, but he can focus in on these guys. I am putting one of my heroes back just at the right spot to where I can run that hero up, but also screen it with another Stegageddon. There's a Stegageddon right behind this building here. So he doesn't have a real clean shot at that hero at the moment. He'll be a little further back, but I'm just trying to spread out these guys as much as possible. I don't want to get hit by that Warp Lightning Vortex and blown to smithereens turn 1. So you can see his deployment, all these boats back here in the corner, your standard KO deployment. And he gave me turn 1. Oh, by the way, do you notice I have the Realm Shaper engine on my side? Yay! Unfortunately, in this game type, I can't afford to put a Slon into that to do anything because I'm going to run my Engine of the Gods over to this objective along with my Slon and my Bastillodon to kind of screen and hopefully pull in some warriors to create a bigger buffer to where he can't get to that objective very easily. Then I'm going to take these other Stegadons up that way and just I've got two heroes, one here and one here, and so I've kind of got a wave that I'm gonna throw some Stegadons into here, and if he kills one hero, I'll just bring in another one after that. So at the end of my turn, I pull up a Stegadon here and my hero. I'm kind of waiting back with the other one to see what I need to answer with this hero, where I need to take him. I can easily take him back up here if needed, or back over to here. So he's kind of my all-purpose. And I'm keeping screened the Stegadon. I don't like to keep him back here, but he's got to be my screen to make sure KO doesn't pop in here and get the Slon. I get my Burning Head out. Unfortunately, my Engine of the Gods does not summon any warriors. I really needed a summons on this one. Now I know it's only a 1 in 4 chance, but I did fire it off twice. It would have been really helpful if I could have thrown out some warriors 12 inches out here in front of me just to create that screen so that he couldn't get into the meat of this back objective. So that was the end of my turn 1. No damage done. He's back too far away from me. I think I did a couple mortals with the Comet onto his heroes. So I'm going to try to start working them down. Because he's got those 3 weak heroes, if I can get some good Celestial Deliverance rolls and bring down those Comets on his heroes every turn, then maybe I can get them killed. And it doesn't matter how much of my stuff he kills. If I can kill his heroes, I win the game. So I do score 2 points for getting my heroes onto the objectives. And now it's over to his turn. He does fly high, or whatever it's called in the hero phase, to get his boats over towards me. And he hits the Warp Lightning Vortex. You can see he's got this awesome custom-made Warp Lightning Vortex with like these mines, very KO looking, air balloon mines that are pretty nice. And he hits my Bastillodon. Basically, he hits all 4 of these. I thought I was spreading out pretty good, but I needed to be spread out more. Luckily, I really didn't take that much damage. It wasn't as bad as I was expecting. You can see I took 3 from the Bastillodon, and I think that was the worst of it. It looks like I took 2 to this Stegaddon, but really it wasn't nearly as bad as I was thinking. Even with it double tapping here when it goes down and then movement, it wasn't nearly as bad as it could have been. So I was okay with that. Obviously, you never want to see that thing go in the middle of your army, but if I can survive my Slon to the next turn, then maybe I can just dispel it and not worry about it. He moves his boats in. Pretty cool shot there as we see the boats coming in. You can see the objective right there in the middle. My Engine of God is on it. He has a hero in this boat, but he can't score it until he kills the Engine of the God and then pops his hero out of that. Unfortunately, he does kill quite a bit. KO is, I don't know if you know this yet, but they can shoot. So he brought all his boats to bear and shot off the engine and the Slon in his turn and did a little bit more damage to the Bastillodon, but didn't quite kill it. He charged in some melee, the engine riggers, and really didn't do much damage to the Bastillodon, even though he had the Bastillodon pretty bracketed. The Bastillodon hit back and actually did really well, like took off 2 of the engine riggers, which for a Bastillodon in melee, I was happy with. But that Bastillodon is not going to be long for this world since it's in the middle of the Warp Lightning Vortex, and I have no wizard now. So he had a pretty brutal turn 1 there, taking out the engine and the Slon. I really needed a screen up so I could have screened that out, and maybe he couldn't have gotten quite as much damage to me, but alas, the Engine of the Gods did not want to roll that. But he doesn't score any points since he didn't have a hero pop out of the boat yet, so I'm still up by 2. Yay! So I do get the roll off for going into turn 2, and I'm thinking maybe I can do some damage here. If I can kill off his heroes, it doesn't matter how much more I lose. I shot everything I had. All of these Stegaddons into his heroes, this Stegaddon into his hero, that Stegaddon into his hero, the Bastillodon into his hero. Unfortunately, I couldn't fire the Bastillodon twice because he wasn't quite in range, or Maybe he was. I can't remember. But going into that boat with the hero in there, with a unit of guys in there, he had -2 to hit. So my Bastiladon was hitting on 6s. My engines or my Stegaddons were hitting on 5s. And I just could not get any damage through. I think I killed off one hero, and I had one more hero down to 1 damage. And so I almost had it under control, but that other hero survived. And so I couldn't do any more damage to him. I charged in and killed a gun hauler that was right here. So I took out 1 boat. So that felt good. But I really needed to take out that extra hero that had 1 wound left. So in my turn, I scored 2 points because I've held that middle for two turns now. And now he is going to get to have his turn. And he is, KO is quite maneuverable. The Bastiladon was finished off by the Warp Lightning Vortex, I believe. And he's moving his boats down here, unloading some guys to attack my hero Stegageddon that was here. He shot off this Stegageddon that was attacking his gun hauler earlier, and then he's kind of moving in. He teleported this one over here to deal with. I have a Stegageddon right here behind this wall. He's heading over that away to that objective as fast as he can. So he's going to intercept that one. Doesn't do a whole lot of damage to him. Gets a few through, maybe like 1 or 2, maybe 1 damage or something, but not a whole lot. The biggest thing was this here in the middle, getting rid of my screening Stegaddons and then getting into the hero. He jumps out of his boat and he's able to score that 1 point on his turn. And now we're into turn 3. I do get the priority into turn 3, so I think this is kind of what's keeping me alive. I'm now shooting into his boat. I have to shoot here into this boat. This guy was going to shoot into that hero that was just barely alive in this boat, but I just couldn't kill him. I just could not get those Skystreak bows to land. This one over here fired into this boat, did a few damage, not enough to make a difference. And I run onto this objective and score this objective with my hero here. This Stegageddon here was starting to get pretty well hurt and wasn't able to pull off very much damage to that boat. So I still hold the objective, but I know on this next turn that hero is going down. I needed to be able to kill off the rest of his heroes in his boat and just could not do it. So there's my last hero going into that objective. And in my turn, I score 1. Maybe I lost that. Maybe I lost that Stegageddon there in that turn. I don't remember. But this is going into his turn. He clears off the middle. He clears off the hero over here, brings his boat over here, which still has a hero in it, and is going to drop him off right there. And so he will end up winning the game because I'm out of heroes now, and he's still got 1 hero and 1 hero left on 1 wound. And so major win for KO in game 1 as he was able to clear off enough Stegaddons, and I just could not kill his heroes in that boat. That's where we shook hands and ended it. It was going in. It was turn 3. Well, it shows turn 2 there, but it was turn 3, and I was up on points, but I had no way to score any more points for the rest of the game. So he got a full 20 points on that one, and that was the end of there. It was a good game. If I could have gotten a couple more shots through to those heroes, I think maybe I would have had a chance, or if I could have gotten some screens over on that right side. But overall, KO just has such a high output, high octane shooting. It doesn't really matter if you can't get to their heroes because they will be able to take your heroes off the board. But good game. I felt like it was closer than what it looked like at the end here, as I didn't have many models left. I had 1 Stegageddon left, and I had only killed 1 boat and like 2 heroes. So good game though to Zach. Had a lot of fun, and he did go on to win the tournament. So Zachary Kennedy is quite a good player, and it was I got beat by a good one here in game 1. So good job. All right, on to game 2. Game 3, Game 2. How about Game 2? Let's not jump too far ahead. Game 2, we're playing Better Part of Valor. And this is one where we're pretty spread out, and only battle line within 3 inches of the objective can score the objective. So, man, we have a lot of. This is the start of some game types that have a lot of objectives, which is a little hard when you only have 8 models in your army. Luckily, though, my battle line is. I guess it's fairly tough. It is coalesced, so it's -1 to damage. We've got a big monster, and I'm gonna just hang my monsters back, the Battleline Stegageddons, on these objectives. I'm gonna try to do this. What I've been wanting to do is just shoot, and then move forward and try to take their objective as I can, kind of late game. Wasn't really able to do that game 1 just because of the game type, but maybe I can in this game. So I am playing in game 2. I'm playing Sebastian, and he is playing Slaves to Darkness, host of the Everchosen. He's got Archaon, the Everchosen, as his general. He's got the Blue Scribes as an ally, and a Chaos Sorcerer Lord with the Mark of Chaos Tzeentch. These guys were his teleporting specialists, I think, and so he was going to use these guys to teleport some things around the board and make it hard to effectively screen your stuff out. Well, since I don't have screens. He's got some battle line here, Chaos Warriors, and then 40 Chaos Marauders. He's also got 3 Vanguard with the Mark of Chaos Nurgle. Looks like most of his other stuff is Nurgle as well. And then a Chaos War Shrine for 1980 points and 117 wounds. So looking at his list, since we needed battle line to score, I knew I pretty much wasn't going to clear off the Chaos Marauders for a little while. But I was going to focus on those Chaos Warriors or Vanguard, depending on where he deployed them, and try to take those guys out. I don't really have an answer for Archaon. I may try to, kind of sacrifice a Stegageddon to him, see if I can bait him in with one of those, and maybe in turn 2, but it'll depend on how it goes. So here's our deployment. You can see I'm kind of heavier on the left side, and he waited to deploy his Vanguard and Archaon until he had kind of seen which side I was on. So I was pulling heavy on this side with Engine of the Gods, Stegageddon, Slann, and Basildon, and then just put Battleline Stegageddon and a Hero Stegageddon on each of the other objectives. He does have his Vanguard here with Archaon, and then a small unit of 5 Chaos Warriors here and here, with his Marauders and 2 teleporting heroes right there. So my plan on this one, I'd had to go first, obviously. I need to remind about the Realm Shaper engine. So I put the Realm Shaper engine here in the middle, just trying to block this left side. So this way it didn't really matter which side I rolled and got, but this way I can kind of help channel anything that might be coming this way. Now Archaon can fly, so it may just be what it is, but I'm going to try to use it most of this tournament as just kind of a roadblock. You might say, why not just not even bring it? Well, I was trying to have fun, so I brought it and I deployed it on every single table just to see how it did. So we can see Archaon is up here on the left, and the Chaos Warriors are on each objective. So I knew Battleline was scoring, and I knew he would probably be sending these guys to me at some point where I could deal with them. So I decided to just pour all the shooting I had into these Chaos Warriors. Same here. All those guys are going to go into these Chaos Warriors. And then these 2 guys are just going to try to deal with these small heroes here in the middle. I'm at range enough to where I can shoot everything. And if I can take off those battle line, then it'll really just help me in the long game, since he'll only have 2 battle line left. Maybe I can score some objectives that way, burn some of his with battle line later in the game. Unfortunately, I whiffed hard. I whiffed real hard. I think with all my shooting, I killed 2 Chaos Warriors. I don't even know how that's possible. So I whiffed really hard on that shooting. I was thinking I could maybe clear those Chaos Warriors with all my shooting, but it wasn't going to happen. And I was able to kill off one of the guys that would do the teleporting with the Chaos Lord, I think. And so that was kind of nice. He ended up just having to keep these Marauders on this objective pretty much the entire game. So that may have messed with his with his strategy a little bit. So there's my movement up. Picture's pretty bad here, but we got our bound burning head up a little bit, and pretty much nothing else changed. I did not want to move up too much, so I kind of kept stuff back just right at that range where I can shoot things and hopefully not get charged. So into my turn, no points scored yet. You don't score them until a little bit later. You can burn the other players' objectives. And on his turn, he teleported in the Varangard over to my left flank, and he made the charge. So that was pretty big. He made that 9-inch charge. Didn't have any rerolls, I don't think. But he made that charge into the Engine of the Gods. And somehow, the Engine of the Gods survived. I thought for sure he was going to die from those Varangard on the charge. He had buffed him up before he teleported him. But I got a little lucky on that one, and the Engine of the Gods survived with, I think it may have been 4 wounds by the end of it left on him, 4 or 5 wounds. And you can see he moved his Archaon up to the middle, which basically told me he knew that he was going to get the next turn. We had put the dice under the Realm Shaper engine to determine who gets the next turn. Archaon has that special ability where he knows what's going to happen next. So you can kind of tell that he knows that Archaon's he's gonna get the double turn here. So Archaon's coming in for my Stegageddons. No. But I was happy the engine survived, at least for now. The engine was able to hit back, and I think he killed 1.5 Varangard, so not too bad. Not too bad. So into that turn, and sure enough, it's a 6, so he does get the double turn. So here we come in, Archaon flying into my 2 Stegageddons in the middle. Oh, man. I don't know how many of these Stegageddons he's going to end up in his sword, the Slayer of Kings. But I'm guessing it's going to be a few, if I were to guess before the game happened. Unfortunately, I must not have a picture of it, but unfortunately, his Archaon whiffed hard. He even rolled 1/6 on the wound rolls into the hero here. Rerolled the others and got no 6s, so did not stuff him in his sword. And he actually didn't really do that much damage. I think he did about 6 damage to the Stegageddon. The Stegageddon does have a +1 to save versus Archaon in this situation, but man, I thought he was going to do a lot more damage than that. I got real lucky on that one. So that's the end of that turn. So if you notice, I get the bottom of turn 2. There is something missing here. Yeah, I brought in the other Stegageddon from over this side, and then we focused fire everybody onto Archaon, along with the Bastildon, along with some mortals, and we were able to clear it off. We still had 1 Varangard to deal with over here. We had killed 1 in the previous battle round, in his turn, and the engine had survived like on 1 wound. And I was able to heal it up some. And so that was kind of nice. And then we're able to clear off that Varangard to finish that off. We did get a summons, finally. The summons I needed. You'll learn as you watch these games that I really didn't get very many summons on the engine. That's kind of the strategy going on with the engine. We'll get some summons. Maybe 1 or 2 a game. Nah, I think 1 or 2 a tournament. So at this point, he's without Archaon. We've killed off his Varangard over here, and now we're going into the roll-off. I did win the roll-off. I haven't scored any points. He ended up burning 2 of his objectives in his turn. I think he was looking at the tea leaves and realizing that he may not be able to hold those on to his next turn if he didn't get the double. So he had gone ahead and burned 2 of his. So in my turn, I'm pushing forward with a little bit, but I'm keeping my battle line back. I'm shooting those Chaos Warriors. And then we're putting some damage into this War Shrine here to try to take it out, and then eventually we'll push onto the Marauders. So I got a Stegageddon to charge there, and we were able to kill off the War Shrine and basically called the game at that. He was out of heroes. And his battle, 3 of his 4 battle line were dead, and so he really wasn't going to be able to score any more points. And so I would have been able to hold on to mine for the entire game and burn him, and he would have only been able to get quite a few less points than me. So it was a good game. It was, I think it was, there's kind of how it ended here. I think it came down to that Archeon. He whiffed pretty hard on the hits into those Stegaddons. If he could have cleared those Stegaddons out, then he could have put me in a pretty bad situation where I'd have to focus more on the middle and try to take him out with a lot fewer bodies before I pushed forward. But fun game. I was pretty scared there for a moment when those Vanguard hit me, and then when Archeon hit me. Whew, I thought it was going to go a lot different, but happy to get the win on that one. Had a good game with Sebastian. On to game 3. On to game 3, we're playing Scorched Earth. 8 objectives, and I have 8 models in my army. So this is another one that is going to be somewhat tough for me in this army list. In Stegageddon, we don't have a lot of bodies, and it's going to be hard to control these objectives and make any kind of push forward to the other team's objectives. So again, my strategy on this one, I think, is I've got to sit back a little bit and shoot. If I can shoot and clear off some of their stuff, then maybe it'll make it a little bit easier for me to push in. But if they push very aggressively at all, then I might lose some objectives early game if they can get in and burn those objectives. So I've got to deploy in a way that I can hold an objective if he brings in a small model, or one model or 2. But if they alpha strike with anything like 10 models, I'm gonna lose objectives pretty quick. So gonna be a tough one, and even tougher when I'm matching up against Ryan Miller. Had a lot of fun in this game. He was a very good player. He came in second in the tournament, so I've got some hard matchups so far. Players 1 and 2 so far. So he's got Lumineth Realm Lords, and he's got Teclis, of course, and a Cathalar as the general. And we've got 3x10 Wardens and 3x10 Sentinels, along with an allied unit of Ishlayan Guard, which are the eels, the defensive eels. And he's got the battalion, or I don't even know how to say that, and Geminids, Twin Stones, and Spell Portal. So a fairly standard Teclis Lumineth build, but with those eels added in instead of maybe an extra unit of Wardens or Sentinels. So a pretty good list. It's got a lot of shooting. It's got those 30 Sentinels that are going to be doing a whole lot of mortals, and it's got some good staying power with the Wardens. He's got 30 Wardens. And so he's going to be able to cover the board really well with this army, a lot better than I am. And to be honest, his shooting is better than mine, and his magic is better than mine. So this is going to be an interesting matchup here. So here's how the board turns out. I'm putting my Bastiladon up front, seeing if he's gonna send in a charge here. I've got my Slann back here, engine, and I've got some Stegaddons on each objective. It looks very spread out, and that's kind of on purpose because he's got that spell portal, and he's going to pop it somewhere in here and do a big old giant AoE of mortals. And so I'm trying to spread out as much as possible, but it's almost impossible to get away from that spell bomb that Teclis can do, because it's a 18-inch AoE, so that's an effective 36 inches wide that it's going to hit some massive mortals too. It can be anywhere all the way up to D6 mortals. So pretty nasty. I have rerolls though, so maybe I can stop it. You can see he's got a set of Wardens over on that objective. Wardens. There's a set of Wardens here, and then his Sentinels are backing up behind there with the Cathalar and Teclis, and the Eels up front. So that's his deployment. And he does take turn 1 in this one. So I guess I misspoke earlier. I didn't get turn 1 every time, But this one, he did take it. You can see my Realm Shaper engine. I put it here in the middle just to try to create some more terrain to people have to work their way around. Not really something that's going to be too strategically benefit for me. I definitely didn't want him to garrison sentinels, so I could not afford it to I could not have afforded to put it on one of the sides and him throw in, 20 sentinels in it that I will never be able to kill. So that would put them at, -2 to hit, +1 to save. Oh man, yeah. So I couldn't afford to put it there, so I put it in the middle. Maybe I could use it. He takes turn 1 and he sends the eels right into my ranks, so that they can hopefully stick around, and I'll have to deal with them with this shooting here. And I killed one in melee, almost got another one down, but didn't quite clear that one. And he did a couple wounds to me. You can see the spell portal here. It did something like 17 or 18 mortals to this big old block of stuff here. He was hoping to do a few more mortals to the Bastiladon so he could bracket it, but he sent in those eels, and he had gotten it just enough to where he was able to put quite a bit of damage onto that Bastiladon. So he also did a couple mortal wounds from Teclis and various other spells. I tried to stop that spell portal with rerolls, but he was getting some pretty healthy bonuses from the Twin Stones, and he was popping the Twin Stones at like +4 or 5 to cast from the Cathalar to get out the spell portal. So I couldn't stop that. I tried the rerolls because I knew I needed to stop that, and I couldn't get it. Had a chance at it, but nope. Basically shuffled up these guys and then shot a whole bunch of sentinels at things. Maybe that's where some of the mortals came from on the Bastiladon, I think. So he scores some points in his turn, 4 points for his objectives. And now it is my turn. Surprisingly, I was able to double heal. This time I only rolled 2 dice for the Engine of the Gods in my shooting phase. And I was able to double heal pretty much everything that was in, like all that stuff that was hurt. So all of these things got 2d3 mortals back, 2d3 wounds healed. And so I was able to get everything quite healed back up. So it kind of negated his big AoE mortals that he had done. So that was kind of nice. Otherwise, I'm just shooting off some bodies. I'm swinging one Stegageddon around this side and starting to work on those guys. And then we're just shooting some stuff here and here. I was really just working on the bodies. There's a unit of wardens over here that I'm shooting. I'm just gonna have to ignore Teclis. Unfortunately, with only -1 rend, I don't really think that there's a way I can take him down effectively. He's stopping most of my spells, and I can't really shoot into him. He's got that Aether Quartz that he can give like up to +2 to a save, and then he's got a ward save after that. So I'm focusing on bodies because I think that's what's going to win this game. There's too many objectives to focus on Teclis, I think. So my turn, I score 4. And now we're down to Roll-Off. Roll-Off, it's a tie. And he wins tie since he went first. So he takes the turn. He charges doesn't charge him. He speed of hishes some sentinels up to the Realm Shaper engine with the intent of next turn, he's going to hop in my Realm Shaper engine. I was trying to keep it away from the sentinels. It was just impossible. So into his turn, he's killed off my Engine of the Gods. He really focused that thing down. After I had healed all my stuff back, he did not want to see that happen again. So he focused heavily on the Engine of the Gods. He got Geminids out, which really kind of hurt some stuff. And I think that may have been about it. Moved up some things, but really was focused on that engine and the Bastiladon and killed them off. So he scores another 4 points. And in my turn, I'm just looking to clear bodies. I'm running my Slann over this way. He's trying to just stay as far away from Teclis as possible. I did get Burning Head out, but I know that Bastiladon is not long for this world, so he's going to try to do as much damage as he can. And we're focusing on these Sentinels here, these Wardens here, these Wardens here, and these Wardens here. And I may have killed some of those sentinels too. But I've just got to clear those bodies. Mostly the sentinels is what I'm worried about because they're just going to keep doing mortals to me. There's nothing I can really do about these guys back here. They're just too far away at this moment. So we are pushing forward, hoping for the double turn. If I can get the double turn going into round 3, then I think I can really put a lot of hurt on him. If I can clear off the rest of these bodies and then really pressure him to pull back and hold his objectives maybe. So I score 4 there. Oh, there's the correct score. Into 2. And I think I get that that turn there. And so I'm able to push forward even more with these. And we're putting shots in on bodies. We're able to clear off this unit of sentinels. And I think I killed most of those wardens right there. Killed off most of those sentinels and got more of those wardens here, but wasn't able to make a charge here, unfortunately. So, not quite as much damage as I was hoping, but the pressure's on him now to respond. I've got quite a few monsters up in his face, and is getting a little nervous. So I score 4 in my turn, and it's on to his turn. He speed of hishes these last 5 remaining wardens around the side of this Bastildon. This was one of my heroes. And he's bringing Teclis over this way as well. He's gonna end up fighting that Bastildon with Teclis. And it will be an epic showdown. He wraps those guys around here on a good move because that gets 2 in this objective here. And I have 2 models in this objective, I think. So as long as he could kill off that Stegageddon, which shouldn't have been a problem, then he would have been okay. But it kept it at 1. I think he may have had 3 in there. I think that's why he ended up getting the score. I think he was able to pile in or got a good charge or something. So he was able to get that. But that Stegageddon actually survived with 1 wound left. That was epic. It had 5 wounds left on it, and had all those wardens and Teclis into it. And he still survived. That was pretty awesome. But the Bastildon's on 1 wound. This guy's on 8. This guy's hurting. But I do have this Stegageddon up here. So if I can get the next turn, I think I'm still in okay shape. He's up 1 point on me now because he was able to score my objective there. But he wasn't able to burn it because I had that leader there. So since I had a leader within 6 of it, he wasn't able to burn it. So he's going to have to wait until his next turn. Unfortunately, he gets the priority roll, and at that, I think it's pretty much game. So he throws back out Geminids, starts doing some damage, takes on the other Stegageddon once he's cleared off the one that had 1 wound in the hero phase, and by the end of that turn, it's looking pretty dire. He's charging over to take care of that Stegageddon, and these sentinels back here, these 10 sentinels, which I still hadn't been able to do anything with, kept peppering this Stegageddon who was kind of stuck out in no man's land. So that right there. Oh, so this may have been into the next turn here, and this Stegageddon on my turn was able to retreat. And I think I may have just skipped some photos or something. But on my next turn, I was able to retreat the Stegageddon and hopefully push this way. If I could get the double, turn, then I could start working on some of his objectives, and it would still have been a game. Unfortunately, that wouldn't be the case, and I would be down. 3 points on him, and he would get the turn into turn 5. Effectively making the game over. So good game to Ryan Miller and his Lumineth. It was a lot of fun. It was really close. It was a lot closer than I was expecting it to be honest, when I saw how many bodies he had, and you know how Teclis plays and how strong he is. But the Stegageddons held their own. Had a couple of epic battles between Teclis and some Stegageddons in which the Stegageddons survived, and I was happy. It was a close game, but good win there for Ryan. All right, game 4. Yes, we're getting to play focal points. Finally, a game type that Stegageddon is good at. So I like this one. We've got extra points for behemoths. This is gonna be my game. Come on. We've got fewer objectives. They're in the middle. I can really throw my weight around with these guys. But with focal points, if you can hold back a little bit, and with Stegageddon, if I can shoot for turn 1 and 2, and then make my move turn 3 and take those centers and maybe one of his, and then it'd be pretty much be game over. That's usually kind of what I like to do on this: is sit back a little bit, wait, and then play the late game. Because on this one, you can really rack up those points, especially with behemoths, if you can capture one of his objectives once you've thinned him out. So that's my plan. Let's see how it does. I'm playing against Ryan, and he's bringing Skaven. So a lot of bodies here. In fact, this is not a great matchup because basically everything in his army negates everything Coalesced has for their abilities. So he has a ton of 1 damage items or mortal wound lightning cannons. So he's got a Grey Seer on Scream Bell as his general. Hopefully going to be summoning in a Vermin Lord Corruptor for sometime for him. He's got an Arch Warlock with the Vigor Dust Injector, Lightning Claw, a Claw Lord, Bombardier, and an Engineer. All those guys will do, buffing up all those Warp Lightning Cannons that he's got, buffing up his Storm Vermin, of which he's got 40 Storm Vermin, 40 Clan Rats, 20 Clan Rats, and 2 Warp Lightning Cannons, as well as 3 battalions there for 1990 points. So he has low drops, so of course I'm going to get to go again. I'm looking, though, at those Warp Lightning Cannons. I think I can deal with some rats, as they'll take a little while to get to me, but those Warp Lightning Cannons are scary. They can do a ton of damage, and it's all mortal, so Coalesce doesn't do anything against that. But I can outrange them. Those guys have, the Warp Lightning Cannons have a 24-inch shoot and 3-inch move. I have 24-inch shoot and 8-inch move. So I knew I'm going to line up at the back of the board for this one here. And I'm going to get in at least 1 round of shooting before he can ever shoot me. And that is the plan. So you can see deployment there. I'm back pretty far. I've got this insane hill on my side. I don't know what this is. This is right in the middle of my deployment, so that wasn't the best. You can see I put the Realm Shaper engine just right in the middle, just because of the way the picture looks. It looks like it's more on his side, but it's right in the middle. Just to try to create a choke point, because I knew at some point somebody's gonna be coming this way. So I've got enough room for me to go through with my Stegageddons, but it's gonna be a lot harder for his hordes to go through there. So I'm trying to put more pressure on that right side than on the left side. The left side is where he kind of has a lot of his strength. So he's got the Screaming Bell over on the left side, along with those 40 Storm Vermin, which are scary. They have a ton of attacks. He's got the 40 Clan Rats here with a couple heroes, and then you can see the Warp Lightning Cannons there in the back. He lined them up a little bit further back than probably he maybe should have, but I understand why he did it, because he didn't want to get hit by all this shooting if he gave me first turn. So I lined them up quite a ways back. And to be honest, I wasn't going to shoot them turn 1 if they weren't in range. So I'm just going to shoot something else. I'm not going to deploy too far forward hoping to get them. I'm going to at least get 1 full round of shooting, maybe 2, before he can ever bring those guys to bear. So you can see I've got enough range. I'm just going to shoot rats. Now, I know that's a waste of some of these shots maybe, but as streaky as they are, I just need to kill rats. So he did give me the turn. So I do have to take turn 1, the top of turn 1, and I'm basically not even going to move much. I'm going to move up just slightly, just enough to get in range. Wait, did you catch it? There was my movement. Boom. The boom. Not very much. I got the Burning Head out, got a couple spells off, and you can see we've killed off, looks like 22 clan rats from there. So, and a few from there as well. So not too bad. We're thinning the ranks. We've got about half his clan rats cleared out, so that's decently well. If we can get another round of that going, it'll be good. But now it's going into his turn, and he's gonna have to move up. These rats are surprisingly fast. I thought I was kind of safe being like 24 inches back from these guys, but he cleared, half that, more than half that. Look, I mean, there's the center line. He's across that halfway point with these rats. And so they've really made a pretty good charge. He did have to kind of string these guys back just to keep that screaming bell being able to push forward. I think maybe, if you can deploy some of those clan rats just kind of dedicated to that screaming bell, you might have a little bit better ability to push him instead of having to daisy chain him back. But, I mean, it was fine. He wasn't able to hit anything with the warp lightning cannons. I stayed out of range of those, and so he basically ran them since they weren't going to be able to do anything, and ran them up a little bit and just got a big old -1 to hit bubble going from the screaming bell. That's pretty brutal. So that's going to hurt a lot of my stuff because if you can debuff Bastildons and Stegaddons, they all of a sudden aren't very good. So into his turn, he does score 5 because he scored the one in the middle. You get 1 for each of yours, 2 for the middle, and if you control the 2 on the outsides, you get an extra point. And then behemoths are worth an extra point as well. So he does have 1 behemoth that was scoring this one there. So if I can hold on to these behemoths and just on objectives, I may be able to score quite a few points just as they rack up. I want to be able to outscore them. I'm going to have to take one of these objectives, but that's the plan. So going into turn 2, yes, I got the turn. If I hadn't gotten this turn, it could have gone a lot worse, I think. I was going to win tie since I went first, but the way he was lined up, he was going to be able to shoot some stuff. He was going to be able to charge and probably get most of my objectives. You wouldn't even have to get into combat to score my objectives, and that would not be good. So I got the turn, and I'm able to put quite a bit of heat on him. So these guys are all pushing up, and we're shooting rats again. We're shooting rats. These guys are helping clear off this that screen unit so that this Stegageddon could swing around and hit those storm vermin. So again, we're putting quite a bit of pressure. I was able to take out 1 warp lightning cannon, but I really couldn't focus in very much energy on this one just because I didn't quite have enough range, and I needed to deal with these storm vermin first. So I made a charge into them. They were pretty buffed up, and they were able to fight back on death. And so they did some damage, but I was able to clear quite a few of them. I think I maybe killed like 10 or 12, maybe more than that. But enough to put a big dent in them and get some of their buffs down. So I was able to score 4. Still don't have that one in the middle yet, but that's okay. I don't need to score it until turn 3. And I'm looking at this juicy target of this Stegageddon making that run over to that one in turn 3. So I'm looking at that to be my goal here. So going into his turn, he's able to shoot the warp lightning cannon quite a bit and charge over to this Stegageddon, clear that one out. I think he put the warp lightning cannon into I think it was into that one. He scored 3 damage versus me and took 6 himself. So that's sometimes how warp lightning cannons go. They can do more damage to the shooter than whoever's getting shot. But those storm vermin have so many attacks. He was able to do a ton of damage here. He did run those 2 lonely clan rats that he had left onto my objective, which I only had 1 model there, so he was able to score that one. That's frustrating. 2 lonely rats scoring it from a Stegageddon. So in his turn, excuse me, he did score 7 points. So he does have a healthy lead on me, but I'm still not too worried yet because I'm getting quite a few bodies down. On the roll-off, I win it again. I am winning ties since I keep going first, so that's good. So I keep nobody gets a double turn yet, so we're still going at it. And I'm able to clear off the rest of those rats that were right here on this objective. I don't score that objective yet, but I did run that Stegageddon all the way up to that corner. I think I turned the constellations, the sacred asterisms, to +1 to run, and I may have used the realm command trait to give like +2 to run or something like that. Cleared off these 2 rats that were here and sent one Stegageddon over there to deal with the rest of those storm vermin. So killed quite a few of them, but also hurt himself quite a bit. I did get another summons. There's my second and last summons of the tournament. So I brought 70 warriors just in case I needed them. Only needed 20. Well, only needed 10 because I never summoned more than 10 per game. But now his Screaming Bell is stuck in the middle, and it can't move. He's got one hero with barely anything left. His Warp Lightning cannons are gone. His Storm Vermin are going down hard, and he's running out of ways to score. So I do score 7 in that turn. I'm making some headway back. So here's the next turn here. I think he sent in a something in here, and sent in. Oh, he sent the hero into my Stegageddon just to try to do some damage or something. Since it was kind of useless at that point, he sent his Storm Vermin over to here to attack the Stegageddon and his other hero. But unfortunately, they couldn't get the job done, and I killed off enough Storm Vermin that he had to take a Battle Shock test. And he rolled a 6 on the Battle Shock, and there were 6 of them left, and they all ran. So all the Storm Vermin ran, which means he did not score that objective because that Stegageddon was just a hero and took off those Storm Vermin and kept that objective for me. So at that point, he did score 3 that turn, but it was getting out of hand. And on the next turn, I'm able to just clean up the rest of the board. I don't even have to kill the rest of his stuff because his Screaming Bell is stuck there. And then I'm basically just going to score the objectives for the rest of the game. And I'll send that Stegageddon over there to score that objective. And I'll own all of them, move that one up to the middle. And I don't even have to attack his Screaming Bell. We'll just leave it sitting there. And score the rest of the game. So that was a good one. Good game to Kyle. I think I may have said Ryan at the beginning. I apologize. Kyle Khorne. And had a fun game. I think it swung kind of early on the turn priorities between 1 and 2. I think that one was the big one. If he had gotten a double turn between 1 and 2, it may have been a little bit different story. But keeping that turn priority, switching back and forth, I think balanced it out a little bit more, and I was able to put just enough shots on bodies to win that game. So good game, Kyle. A lot of fun. And that was a win for the Stegageddon. All right, game 5. We're going into game 5. We're 2-2. I need to get this win so I can get to 3-2. That was kind of my goal with Stegageddon. But this game type is not the best for Stegageddon. Again, we've got 6 objectives on the board. I don't have a lot of models. And this objective here, because of how far out it is, it's 18 inches up. And so your deployment is 12 inches. And so you don't actually claim the objective turn 1. And my whole strategy for Stegageddon was to kind of hang back. But these objectives are just 12 inches apart. I mean, they're so close together that you have to move forward. And I kind of don't want to yet. I want to shoot some and then charge in turn, maybe turn 3 and put a lot of pressure on turn 4 and 5. But it just doesn't work with Blade's Edge. That's what this game type. Especially because as starting in turn 2, whoever goes second gets to remove one of the objectives. So that can swing a game pretty hard depending on where those objectives fall. And so if you can go without taking the turn priority, if you win it, and you can force the other person to take it, and then you can grab their objectives off of them, then that is always a pretty good strategy. So it's definitely an interesting game type for Game 5. Makes us think, especially those of us at the mid tables here. So I'm playing Chris Creech here, and he's got a Khorne list here. It was pretty cool looking. I'm not gonna lie. He had a Chaos Lord on Manticore, a Chaos Lord on Karkadrak, another Chaos Lord, a Bloodstoker, a Slaughter Priest, 15 Chaos Warriors, 5 Chaos Warriors, 5 Chaos Warriors, 5 Chaos Knights, 5 Chaos Knights, and a Chaos War Shrine. This is all in the Blood-marked Warband. So he is outdropping me. Oh, he's also got the Bleeding Icon and the Hexagore Skulls. So got to keep my Slann back as far as possible to keep away from those skulls so that I don't blow myself up. You can see his Chaos Lord on Manticore was a pretty sweet conversion here. It looks like it was based off of a Tyrannid model. Super awesome there. Here's our deployment, and you can see I'm back just about as far as I can be and still be in range of his stuff. I am super spread out. I was trying to kind of bait him. I knew that Manticore was gonna alpha strike something, and I was trying to bait him onto the Bastiladon so that maybe he would come in there to that Bastiladon, because the Manticore doesn't do any mortals, and so I was hoping that it could do a lot of damage. Though I mean, it'll cut right through you once it's buffed up. But I was hoping he would take the bait on the Bastiladon, maybe take turn 1, but no, he didn't. So if I want to score my own objectives, I have to move up, and I really didn't want to. He's got this giant unit, these 2 units of Chaos Knights and the Chaos Lord on Karkadrak over here. This side kind of terrifies me. I feel like I can deal with this side well, and so I'm trying to put most of my muscle over here, and then leave my bait here. And I've got to have something over here to take the objectives, though. But it does look like we're kind of lopsided on our strengths on the table, and that's okay. I can work that towards late game if needed. So in my turn, I do have to move up to score some objectives and shoot. I'm able to take out most of the Chaos Warriors that were over here that would look to be scoring this objective. He had another unit of Chaos Warriors here. I wasn't able to do as much damage to them as I wanted. I was able to put some mortals on his small heroes. And these guys over here that were shooting into these knights did like almost no damage. Those knights are really tough. And these Chaos Warriors here in the middle, they were super buffed, and so I pretty much knew I wasn't going to be able to move them all game. I'm just going to try to ignore them unless I have to get into combat. I know that they're going to move up at some point, but I was going to try to ignore them as much as possible. Didn't get any summons from the engine. In fact, I think I rolled like double heals, which is always not fun when you've got nothing hurt. So into my turn, we cleared off some of his bodies, but not quite enough. Not as much as I had wanted in turn 1. So that's the end of my turn. I scored my 3 objectives. And over to him. I sent this picture home to my son, who's a Stormcast player, just to look at the guy I'm playing. I will avenge you. He sent his Manticore, Chaos Lord on Manticore, into my Stegageddon boss, the one with the Fusilier Conflagration. So he didn't take my bait on the Bastiladon. I guess he was too smart for that. But he went after my Stegageddon hero, which was smart, and wiped him out in 1 turn. I think he did have to attack twice. He was able to do that from some hero that was here. He was able to use a command point and attack twice. But now he's got a ton of stuff super close to me, and I've only got 1 Stegageddon left over there. So if he gets the double turn, I am in trouble. He's gonna easily clear this one off. He'll probably send the Manticore over here, and at that point, I'll probably just shake hands. Man. So at the end of he does score 4. Oh, he snuck in and grabbed my objective here, which this Stegageddon just happened to be outside of. This one was the only one in it. That was just a bad move. Ultimately, in this game, it doesn't really matter. It won't really matter, but just poor placement there. I do win the roll-off, though. Yay. Okay, so now no double turn. So I'm moving in. I'm able to clear off everything over here on this side. So we've cleared off his threat to this objective, and I'm able to. I had to run the Stegageddon, but I'm able to run that Stegageddon in and get that objective. And I was able to come over here and clear off his Manticore. I actually cleared off his Manticore in shooting, and I was swinging this guy over this way to make the charge. I didn't think I was going to clear him in shooting, and now I don't have a valid target to charge, and I'm outside of 6 of my objective. So, again, mental mistake there. Game 5, you know how it goes. So that's 2 points I've lost so far, but you know what? It's not going to matter. I did shoot some into these Chaos Knights, and I cannot kill those things. I just cannot do it. Move this guy over this way. He had +1 to his save from the Realm spell, maybe. And my Slon, my engine kind of just tracked up here. And my Slon, I should have taken my Slon back further, but I didn't. I was thinking this Stegageddon could screen enough. I was hoping to get in some warrior screens, but just didn't. So at the end of my turn, I score 2, up 1 with his turn to play. He gets the Hexagore Skulls right in front of my grill and does some mortals. And then the Chaos Knights are coming in for that Stegageddon. They absolutely surround it and wipe out that Stegageddon super easy. Do some mortals to this Bastiladon, but not enough. If he had done a few more mortals, he might have sent in these Chaos Knights. But as it is, that was a Bastiladon still on a 1-up save with Mystic Shield, so he didn't want to deal with that yet. He wasn't really doing anything to these guys over here, just letting them be, letting them hold. He was just holding his objective. Oh, I forgot to mention he did remove this objective back here at that last turn, so that's why I was pushing up quite a bit aggressively, but so I was losing out on that objective point too. So now if he gets the double here, it's going to be pretty disastrous. As you can tell, there's a lot of knights about to come down my throat. If I get the turn, maybe I can hold on a little bit longer. He's up a couple more points on me, and I roll a 1 for priority. So he gets the turn. He's sending in knights. He does a few more mortals to the Bastiladon, but he's sending in knights here to the Bastiladon to do some damage there. And he gets the knights around my Slon. No. Whenever you see your Slon in that situation, it's never a good time. So he does take out my Slon. This may have been before I attacked with the Engine of the Gods, because I think the Engine of the Gods did a little bit of damage to him. And the Bastiladon actually killed off 1 Chaos Knight, and they survived. He sent in actually 2 heroes to also deal with the Bastiladon, and the Bastiladon survived all that. Took quite a few wounds. He's down to 5 now, but it's not too bad. I still have 3 Stegageddons, so maybe I can still do something. So it's the end of his turn. In my turn, I'm pushing forward, but at this point, it's not a real good scenario here. So my Bastiladon is just stuck in combat. My Engine of the Gods whiffed hard, wasn't able to do any more damage to these knights. I was able to kill. He had like a Slaughter Priest back here. I got a secondary by killing that, and then I killed off these 2 heroes as well in this turn for another secondary. But I'm just not able to deal with these Chaos Knights. I can't remember exactly what they were doing, if they were like re-rolling their saves or something, but they were incredibly tough. Same with these guys here. Just -1 rend was not getting it done. Not enough wounds getting through, and then they have their Feel No Pain save from this thing. So at that point, we called the game. He was up quite a few points on me, and I wasn't able to put enough pressure on him to get my objectives back, because he had this objective, he had this objective, and this objective. I only had this one. So I was only having 1 objective while he was having 3, and this one was gone, and this one was gone. So I still had 2 Stegageddons over here, but just not enough to pressure here, and he was going to hold these objectives on my side for quite some time, because I didn't have enough stuff over there to get rid of them. So at that point, we called the game, and it was a good game to Chris Creech. and his, let's go back to that Manticore picture. There we go. What a cool model. So good game, Creech, in that game. That win goes to Khorne and drops Stegageddon down to 2-3 on the game, on the tournament. So let's go to like some tips and some after GT report, maybe. All right, so how did the Stegageddon perform? Not quite as well as I'd hoped. I was hoping to go 3-2 on the tournament. It was close. I had a couple of close games. I think some of the battle plans kind of hurt me having that many objectives. I think I would have liked to seen some of the other ones that didn't quite have so many objectives that I would have to fight for. Although, I mean, like the first one wasn't bad for me. I had tough heroes. I think I just got the one matchup that may have been able to beat me on that game type in KO. I feel like I really needed some screens here. I think I might be willing to drop one Stegageddon to bring in some screens. There were just too many games where if I had had a screen, I would have been able to keep my Stegageddon or my boss or my engine alive a little bit longer to counter-strike, to shoot back again in my next turn and then charge. So I think it's worth it there. In that list building phase, I kind of think, well, the engine can bring me in some screens, so maybe I don't need to bring them. I can double fire the engine every turn. That's 10 chances I've got at screens in a game. I'm going to get some screens, but it just never worked out that way. Maybe it was just bad rolling, but there's so many times where either like one game, the engine gets killed early. One game, I have to roll for heals to keep things alive. The next game, I just don't roll any, and so I think there's enough variability there that the engine is still a great model to have. A great hero, lots of wounds, flexibility on things it can do. One of these days, I'll roll 666s on that, and then all the Stegageddons will basically have twice as many shots. That will be amazing. One of these days. But I don't think I can count on it for screens. So I definitely do think I need to bring in some screens. Let me see. What else? The Realm Shaper engine. So I never once got a model in the Realm Shaper engine. My opponent never did either. We put him in the middle of the board pretty much every game. I basically just used it as an extra terrain piece to just try to channel things where I wanted it in the game. But to be honest, it had almost no effect on any of the matches. So that's a shame. I really wish it was better. I hesitate putting it on, even on my side. Like, even if I knew I could get it on my side, I hesitate putting like the slot in it because it has to be 6 inches off the back of the board and it's 6 inches wide, which means whatever I put in it is on the deployment line most of the time. So that's like prime target to get alpha striked. But at least if I could put it on my side every time, maybe there would be there might be some chances I could use it for. So Realm Shaper engine, not too much of an effect. The Bastiladon, any debuffs, any minus ones to hit just almost kills the output of that Bastiladon, it feels like. If you're hitting on 5s, even if you're rerolling 1 because of the bound head, the bound burning head, you're just not getting much damage through. So I think I want to try to get in a Skink Priest, at least one in there to spend a command point on the Bastiladon to give it +1. So that way you've got those 9 shots hitting on 3s, rerolling 1s, and you can double fire that. So if I've got 2 command points, I think I want to spend it on the Skink Priest and then the Bastiladon to double fire. So I think I could really up my output that way from the Bastiladon because I felt like I was rolling a lot of 1s and 2s from that Bastiladon. High drops, man. I had those 8 drops. I went first every single game except that one. So 4 out of the 5 games I was forced to go first, and the one where I didn't go first was because he wanted to go first. So Getting the drops down would be nice, but in Stegageddon, there's really not a way to do that unless you're going to take Thunderquake. And I feel like if you're going all monsters, Thunderquake just reduces your model count even more. So if you're going to take Thunderquake, you definitely need some more bodies in this list. So that's kind of why I shied away from just a straight up Thunderquake Temple host list, because I needed at least one or two more bodies there, and I probably really should have brought some screens instead. What else? What else? What are my other notes here? I think the other thing that hurt me was the battle plans. I think we used just about every single battle plan that had as many objectives as possible. So that one was a little bit of a detriment. My army was spread out all game or all tournament, so I could never really like charge 3 Stegageddons into something, which is so much fun to do, but I never really got that chance. And so I would like to see maybe fewer game types with as many objectives spread out all over the board. I love focal points, some like that have them a little bit more towards the middle, that you can really channel all these monsters right up into their gut. That's fun. But overall, man, I had a ton of fun at this tournament. I took this list because I wanted to have fun. It's only like 3 war scrolls, so very easy to remember, very easy to play, and a ton of fun. I feel like we had fun, like me and my opponent had fun most of these games. So I want to thank each one of those opponents for having a blast, and especially thank the TOs for Harambe Hero GT. I'm definitely looking forward to it next year. All right, guys, this is a long one. Thanks for sticking around. You guys are awesome. We'll catch you later.